In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Nebula, where star clusters glimmered like shattered glass, a massive alien dreadnought hovered silently over a desolate, barren moon. Known as Drazhar, the dreadnought had once been the pride of the warlike Vrexer species, its arsenal of bioengineered creatures unrivaled in the galaxy. Among these creations was the fearsome Shadow Leopard, a genetically engineered predator built for stealth, speed, and unparalleled lethality. The leopard, named Krexha, had served the Vrexer as a weapon of devastation. With her obsidian-black fur that absorbed light and her piercing emerald eyes, Krexha was bred to inspire terror. Her claws could tear through alloyed steel, and her venom paralyzed victims in seconds. But the war between the Vrexer and their rivals, the Rithalians, had ended unexpectedly when both species annihilated each other in a cataclysmic battle. Krexha and her cubs, three curious, lanky shadows of herself, were left behind on this barren moon as the surviving Vrexer fled the system in disgrace. Food supplies dwindled, and the artificial biomes that supported the moon's ecosystem began to fail. The once proud predator and her offspring faced slow starvation. Instincts awakened. Hunger gnawed at Krexha's insides, but she forced herself to remain calm for her cubs. The moon's lifeless landscape stretched endlessly, a sea of jagged rocks and dry craters. Her cubs, too young to hunt and still dependent on her, whimpered softly as their tiny stomachs growled. Krexha sniffed the air, her keen senses picking up faint traces of life, small, scuttling creatures that had survived in the moon's thin atmosphere. Summoning what remained of her strength, she slunk into the shadows, her form blending seamlessly with the environment. She returned hours later with meager prey, enough to stave off death for another day. Her instincts told her that her cub's survival depended on her leaving this dying world. But how? The moon was surrounded by the wreckage of long-abandoned spacecraft and orbiting debris from the war. Somewhere within it all had to be the answer. The awakening. One fateful night, as Krexha prowled near the edge of the ruins, her heightened senses detected something unusual, a low, rhythmic hum. She followed the sound, leading her to the half-buried remains of a Vrexer control unit. The device flickered faintly, a remnant of the long-dead war effort. Krexha approached cautiously, her claw brushing against its surface. To her astonishment, the machine powered up. A hologram of the Vrexer warlord who had commanded her appeared, its voice distorted but intelligible. Bioengineered assets, built for survival, adapt, and evolve. The words triggered something deep within Krexha's mind, an activation of dormant neural enhancements implanted by the Vrexer. Her intelligence surged, and she began to understand the rudimentary controls of the unit. With careful precision, she transmitted a distress signal into space. Visitors from the void. Weeks passed, and Krexha continued her struggle to keep her cubs alive. Then, one day, a streak of light pierced the dark sky, a starship responding to her signal. But it wasn't Vrexer. The vessel belonged to the Tarian nomads, a peaceful but resourceful scavenger species. The Tarians landed cautiously, wary of the signal's source. Krexha watched them from the shadows, her cubs huddled behind her. When the Tarians discovered her, they were struck by her majestic but emaciated form. They realized she was no ordinary animal, but a bioengineered creation with intelligence far beyond their understanding. A fragile alliance. The Tarians, though initially fearful, saw potential in Krexha and her cubs. They offered food and medical care, carefully earning her trust. In return, Krexha allowed them to study her and the remains of the Vrexer technology scattered across the moon. Through the Tarians, Krexha learned that her distress signal had reached other ears. Ears belonging to a ruthless mercenary group known as the Xiphorians, who sought to capture her and weaponize her once more. The Tarians, unwilling to abandon Krexha, vowed to help her escape. Fight for freedom. As the Zyphorian fleet approached the moon, Krexha prepared for a battle unlike any she had fought before. She and her cubs, now stronger thanks to the Tarians' care, joined forces with the scavengers to defend their newfound haven. The battle was brutal, but Krexha's cunning and ferocity turned the tide. She led her cubs in a coordinated attack, using the moon's terrain to their advantage and tearing through Zyphorian ranks. When the dust settled, the Zyphorians were defeated, and the Tarians offered Krexha and her cubs a place aboard their ship. Together, they left the desolate moon behind, setting off for a distant, uncharted world where Krexha could raise her cubs in peace. A new dawn. In the verdant jungles of their new home, Krexha watched her cubs play, their laughter echoing through the trees. No longer a weapon of war, she had found something greater, the freedom to live and thrive. But deep in the stars, whispers of her legend grew, of the abandoned shadow that had risen to defy her creators and carve a new destiny.